Composing the hair clumps can be the most difficult and time-consuming step in the process. Well, technically speaking. Technically speaking, that was the easy part. I mean, you're just moving geometry, right? Easy, right? Now, understanding how to like set up the material for your hair, that's going to make your brain explode. It made my brain explode. So now, first thing we need to do is make sure your hair, I'm going to do it in shading mode because it will allow me to see the NURBs, or the nodes for the material. Go over to your Materials Properties tab, select New, and call this Hair. Make sure all parts of your hair actually has this hair material, otherwise you're going to run into trouble. Now when I modify the base color, everything in the hair should change too, and it doesn't. And it doesn't because I had the wrong tab selected. Go over to like either viewport shading, go into like one of these viewport shading tabs, and then change the hair, and you should be able to, if you change this, the hair should change. There, now you know that you've got like the right thing selected and whatnot. Now we're going to be working with like a lot of different nodes here. So in order to like search for a specific node, what you can do is go over to this add button and click the search button, and then you can look up any node that you want. Now the first set of nodes that we're going to need is a noise texture. And when you set this noise texture to the color, to the output, either the base color, oh, nothing happened. Oh, that's because I still need the coordinates. Alright, I'm going to set it to the material output. It will display whatever is set up inside of your node. Now nothing is displaying right now because I still need UV coordinates for my materials. So for UV coordinates for your materials, you're going to need some mapping. Plug the vector into vector. And we are also going to need texture coordinates, and plug the UV into vector as well. And there you have it. As you can see, any kind of changes you make inside of your material editor is going to be reflected up here. And this is what noise in Blender looks like. It looks like that. But we don't want it to just be noisy. We want a lot of straight lines. So I'm going to like skew the mapping coordinates with scale. Make the X a bit smaller. If you play around with the scale, you can see how what you're doing is affecting the materials. There we go. It's because of some nice straight line hair effects. Very nice. What else are we going to need? Well, I think that I'm going to need some bump maps to give the hair the appearance of more bump. It makes your hair look, it's going to make it look more three-dimensional. So add the bump node. So the bump is taking on the noise texture information and plugging that noise texture information into normal. You can't really see it over here because the principal BSDF shader is not plugged into the materials, but you can plug the bump map normal into the displacement map, and it should display here now, but it's hard to see because you see here, all this information that you're seeing here is just the one color, the base color, and the bump maps. All these strands are being created by the bump right now. So that's kind of what bump does. Man, this takes a long time to render, doesn't it? What's my renderer set to? Ave. Set to cycles. Get the GPU to compute it. Make sure the GPU is computing it. Maybe it'll go faster. Normal. Alright. What else are we going to need? Well, How about something for my hair roots? I want to create another color ramp. This color ramp will help control the color for my hair roots. But in order to get this thing to work, it shows all white right now. In order to get this thing to work right, no wait, actually I'm missing something. I just want like regular colors. I'll do the hair roots afterwards. So yeah, the color ramp will act as the color for my hair. Right now it's set to black and white, but I don't want it to be just black and white. So let's set it to something else. Let's give it a different kind of color. Let's make it like, now you can set it to like anything you want. You could set it to, you can make it blue. Don't go crazy with it though, it might end up looking ugly. It should be like slightly desaturated. So let's set up as that. Now, I have a color ramp. I also want to get root colors going. So I'm going to use another color ramp for my root colors. Only problem with this is when you just plug in the color ramp, it just turns out like that. So we need, before we were using the noise texture and whatever was controlling the position information of your noise texture. So we're going to need something, either that or something else, to control the position information of this other color ramp. So let us add a gradient texture. No, wait. Getting mixed up here. Let's just use texture coordinates. See what that does. It definitely does something. Gives it kind of weird streaks, doesn't it? I want a gradient texture. I don't want it to be like weird and streaky. So let's add a gradient texture. There we go. This is actually, it gives you like an interesting effect. I guess you can have hair that's kind of like that. But you can see how you can like use different things like this to control your hair. You know, I kind of like the quadratic sphere, honestly. I thought this looked really nice. I thought it gave it a nice effect. So now I have colors for my hair roots and the base color. I want to combine them. So in order for me to combine them, I will use a mix RGB node, not the shader, mix RGB node to combine these colors. So I'll have color 1 and I'll have color 2, and they'll both go into the output and you can see what we get. Now I want to like add an anisotropic, am I saying that properly? Anisotropic shader to this. Now if it's not showing up here, it probably means that you have the wrong render engine selected. So go over to render engine under scenes in the render properties tab on the side and go over to cycles and then add the anisotropic BSDF shader. Now the way the anisotropic shader works is it simulates the way light reacts to a very tightly grooved surface. This can be used to create a nice sheen. See, that's what it looks like with the anisotropic shader. It looks like metal. See, it kind of looks like silver sable or something. It looks really nice. I wonder what would happen if I adjusted the rotation here. Would it show? Oh yes, it does show. You see what happens when you adjust the rotation? The sheen, the reflections, they rotate. It's very nice. Let's set this to around 0.5, 0.25, give or take. Now I want this to follow the same coordinates as like the other maps. So I will get the tangent to follow the texture coordinate UVs. And I also want the bumps to show up inside the sheen. So I'll put the bumps in through there. And we end up with, holy cow, steel hair. Pretty slick. So we have our color, our base color, right? And we have the shader for our sheen, and we want to combine them. So what we're going to need, what we're going to use is a mix shader node, because we're mixing two different shaders. If you set it really low, you're going to get one shader. If you set it really high, you're going to get the other shader. I don't want to make it too strong, so let's just like set it to maybe about 0. You know what would make this thing really pop? If we had like transparencies for the hair. There is actually a transparent shader that you can use. Transparent shader. If you just plug it in directly, you're not really going to be able to see much of anything. And you're not going to be able to see much of anything because you don't have a mask currently controlling what is and is not transparent. Now, I don't want like all the hair to transparent. I only want part of it to like become gradually transparent. So let's make a color ramp to create a gradient of transparency. Let's see how that looks now. Oh, you know what's happening here? We need some kind of something to control the position information of our gradient. Just as we needed something to control the position information of the gradient color ramp here and here. So let's use the old gradient texture to do that. Aha, you can actually kind of see it working now when I reduce it by like a lot. You can see it working. You know what I think this might be because? I think it might be because of this guy. If I set this to linear as opposed to quadratic, it might come out better. I think that's what's happening. This is what's messing it up. Okay, we are back in business. Here we go. Yes, this is the effect I was searching for. Something like this. Now this is just a gradient. We still need like really need to stop saying like a lot. We still need the rest of the color map. Now, this will just give me a gradient, but I don't just want... This will just give me a gradient. I don't just want a gradient, I want hair strands. So we will get the noise texture and noise texture information and plug that in to a color ramp and multiply. So color ramp, multiply. Wait, I need math. I need a math node. And I need to connect the multiplier to the noise texture. There we go. That's the effect I'm searching for. That was the key. Now that I have my transparency working, and I have my anisotropics and my base color and my hair roots working, I want to combine all those anisotropics, hair roots, and base color with my transparency. So what I will do is I will add another mix shader. Add another mix shader over here, connecting to here, and then I'll plug that mix shader into here. Wait, let's see what we can combine. The base color. This is base color with the transparencies. Now this is base color with the anisotropics. It's missing something. Oh, that's a bit better. Increase the roughness to that. You kind of have to like play around with the settings until you get something that's like visually appealing, something that you're happy with. What else? What else can I do with this? Let's add subsurface scatter. Subsurface scatter will like make it really pop. So set the subsurface to 0.1 and set the radius to 0.5. Whoops, 0.5, and set the color to a warmer color. So maybe something like this. Those are the basics of the building hair using Bezier splines and Bezier curves.